Lynnie with Sunflower Spirit Tarot, and I'm here with a message for Aquarius, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, and any other significant placements. This is just going to be a general message, so whatever I see is what I'm going to read, okay? I hope you guys have been well. I have been really well. Just enjoying my summer so far. All right. Let's shuffle it up. Benevolent ancestors, spirit guides, guardian angels, and those that come to us in and through unconditional love only as members of our spirit team, what messages do you have for Aquarius at this time? Aquarius, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, and any other significant placements. What does Aquarius need to know, see, and be aware of as they move forward from the time they watch this video? Most important messages, predictions, and happenings to, for, from, about, and around Aquarius from the time they view this video moving forward. What they need to know, see, and be aware of. All right, let's do a couple more, and then I'll get into it here. And let's do one more. One more. All right, let's get started. Comfort, confirmation, or clarity, whatever they need, spirit, let's give it to them at this time. At the bottom of the deck, straight card, Leo energy. Love this energy, okay? Let's talk about it once we get these other cards laid out here. 9 cards, please, spirit. Let's see. What do we have for Aquarius here? First card out is the 4 of Wands, the 9 of Wands, the Moon, 2 of Cups, 5 of Cups, and the Hierophant. Page of Swords, the Hermit, and the Queen of Cups. Knight of Cups as the overall energy. And let's clarify this Knight of Cups. What's going on, Aquarius? Honestly, I feel like your trust was broken or you broke someone else's trust. I'm not really sure which one. Let's see. We've got for the Queen of Cups, for the Knight of Cups, we have the Queen of Swords, the Hangman, and the 3 of Pentacles. You're questioning somebody's commitment to this relationship that they're in with you, okay? And I'm typically going to read for the feminine, so if you're not in the feminine, just, you know, assign it where it goes. But yeah, Aquarius, I feel like somebody let you down. I feel like somebody disappointed you in the connection that you were in. You thought this person was somebody that you were going to marry. If you weren't already married or engaged or living with this person, you definitely thought that this was somebody that you could have had a future with, a happy life with, a home life with. I do feel like if you were already living with this person, whether married or not, you did your best to try to be the version that you felt like was most, like, I don't know, I don't want to say domesticated, but I feel like you had your little Susie homemaker hat on and you were like whipping it up, cooking breakfast and doing all the things that you felt like you were supposed to do. And if that's not specifically it, it's more just like you were trying to become the person, the feminine that you felt like this masculine needed or wanted. And I feel like it blew up in your face in some ways. It's like, I gave this person everything. I did everything for them. Like, I sacrificed for them. I gave to them. I was graceful. I was compassionate. I forgave. And they still messed me over. They still disappointed me. They still showed me exactly why I never give anybody a chance. I don't know why that just came through. It's almost like you just feel like I never talk to anybody. I don't trust anybody. I don't talk to anybody. I have a very small circle. If you have any close friends at all, you don't really put yourself out there to date. You're not necessarily not a romantic person. It's just that maybe you're just tired of being hurt, okay? And you feel like being alone is so much easier than being in a relationship where you don't have clarity. Than being in a relationship where you're not having your needs met, being in a relationship where you're giving and they're not reciprocating what you're giving. I don't feel like this person gave the same amount of intention or energy that you gave, okay? And it's because you don't do this for people. This is not how you operate often. This is not necessarily, you might think this is not who you are, this lover girl, lover feminine type of energy, but it is. This is the true you, okay? The version of you that likes to be alone, that likes solitude, that enjoys your own company, that is also you. But there's also this version of you that only comes out when you are in love or when you're falling in love. And that version of you is absolutely beautiful. And I think you enjoy that version of you so much that you kind of get lost in it a little bit. And you don't necessarily want to accept when the people that you're giving to aren't necessarily meeting you in the middle. They're not actually giving you back anything. They're not actually providing anything for you. They're not actually meeting a need or providing a service or showing up for you in meaningful ways. And this is why you choose to isolate yourself, because every time you get involved with somebody, you love this version of you so much that you're gonna get lost in that sauce and they end up doing whatever it is that they do, right? I think that, and I've been in similar situations in the past. I think that because you are so, I don't know, you have such an ability to just do your own thing, go off on your own thing, and be independent, that people are a little bit surprised with how maybe clingy you can be, with how maybe romantic you can be, how soft you can be. It takes them by surprise, because I do think, honestly, that some people are only attracted to you because they think that you are independent enough to let them also go be independent and run wild and run the streets and all that kind of thing. People might approach you wanting or having some sort of idea of a non-traditional relationship in their brain, and yet when they actually get to know you a little bit better, they realize, oh no, you are possessive, you like to lock it down, you like to be the one and only, okay? I don't see you being the type of person who can almost manage how much they give. If you decide that you like a person, that you want to be in a relationship with this person, that you want to share a life with a person, there's nothing that you're not willing to do for this person. And to be honest, sometimes I do think that you lack boundaries around your romantic relationships, potentially even your friendships, and that might also be why you only have a few friends, or you keep it lone wolf style. You know what I'm saying? Because people maybe have the tendency to take advantage of you because how much you're willing to give, how great, how wonderful of a heart you have, how big of a heart you have, how compassionate you are, how graceful you are, okay? You are an amazingly loving person, and you love to get the opportunity to love on someone. And I hate for you that people don't see it and appreciate that and give that back to you. Here's the reason why you tend to attract the takers when you are quite naturally and honestly a giver. Is because you give without condition. You give without boundaries until you're ready to cut things off and say, absolutely no, we're broken up, we don't talk anymore, you're blocked, I'm not ever going to speak to you again. It's almost like you have no boundaries and then you have the only boundary, right? There is an in-between that needs to exist there, and it's going to take a lot of practice. It's going to take a lot of practice. It's going to take a lot of social interaction, human interaction, right? It's going to take a lot of potential friendships forming and falling apart. It's going to take some potential romantic relationships happening and then not happening in order for you to recognize, what should my boundaries be? How do I enforce these without being, so closed off that nobody can get close to me, so that my needs can also be met, so that my standards can also be met. Obviously, you're meeting everybody's standards. You're attractive, you are loving, you are soft, and you are feminine, and only when somebody puts you in that position to be that way, right? And it's typically these people who I would consider takers, right? When you're clear, like I said, clearly a giver. These people who I would consider takers, they look for people like you who are givers with no boundaries, so that they can fully just have a run on you. And maybe consciously they're not doing that. Okay, so I'm not going to say that people are intentionally, consciously doing this, because then that's not always the case. Sometimes people are just conditioned to behave like this. Sometimes people are so locked into survival mode that the only way that they feel like they can survive is if they have someone on their side who's willing to meet their every need without question. And even when you do question it, they know, like, no, well, she's not going to cut me off, so they're not going to cut me off, so I don't have to explain myself. I don't have to, I don't have to be honest. I don't have to have integrity, because they're going to keep giving to me whenever I want it, because I'm going to keep telling them that I love them and I care about them, I need them and I want them, and all these other things that may or may not be true, right? They might need you for real. They might need the love that you give, but do they deserve it? I don't think so. Number one, I think your first mistake is that you don't make anybody work for it, okay? And a part of this is uncontrollable, because I'm a lover girl myself. It's like, as soon as you have feelings for somebody, as soon as you're attracted to somebody, as soon as you feel like something might be going somewhere, all of those walls just kind of drop down, right? And this is not the problem. The problem is, once the walls drop, so do the standards, so do the boundaries. What's important to you, right? You have to define that for yourself. If you've been dating a lot of homosexuals, then maybe a standard for you should be, I'm not going to date anybody who doesn't have a job and their own place to live. If you've been dating a lot of men who are talking this 50-50 talk, maybe your standard should be, I'm only going to date a provider, somebody who's willing to provide for me once we're in a committed relationship. Whatever and I'm not going to, like I said, I'm not here to tell you what that should be or what that's supposed to look like. But what I'm giving you is examples of like how you can elevate your standards and refuse to compromise. I don't care how strongly you feel about somebody. I don't care about how good they look. Let's take an example. Let's say you've been dating a lot of men who are practically vagrants, right? Who bounce from home to home, looking for shelter and love wherever they can get it, okay? And you tend to give to these people. This is just an example. It doesn't have to be your specific situation, okay? And now you have this new boundary. You say, I'm not going to date a man who doesn't have his own place to stay and a job. I won't date any men who are unemployed anymore, right? And then you meet the finest man or the finest masculine you have ever met in your life, okay? And they come up to you and their game is really good, and you exchange numbers and you're talking. Y'all have so much in common, and they're mirroring you, and they maybe even potentially love bombing you, and now you're falling, right? And you haven't even asked them about their job, about their career. Do they have a place to stay? These questions have not even been asked. And by the time that your heart is involved, they go, oh, well, I'm kind of between jobs and I'm actually looking for a place to stay. And you go, well, I do like you, and well, I do feel like we have a lot in common, and well, you do make me feel very soft and feminine, and I love that. So maybe, yeah, you can move in with me. Do you understand what I'm saying? When you establish these boundaries, when you establish these standards, that needs to be first out of the gate. When that man approaches you, that masculine approaches you asking for your number, you say, do you have a job? Well, I'm between jobs right now. No, you can't have my number. And then you don't even give the emotional connection time to develop. Because by that time, you're in too deep. So here's the thing. Whatever your boundaries are, those are the questions you need to be asking right out the gate. Okay? Don't waste any more time getting to know somebody before you understand if your standards are met. Can they lie? Yes, of course they can lie. But once you find out they're lying, that will help you separate from them. That will help you disconnect from them emotionally, because I don't think you want to be with anybody who's dishonest, who's a liar, right? 5 of Cups for Aquarius. That's how you do that. You right out the gate, you say, no, can you meet my standards? Before any numbers are exchanged, before any dates are being had, can you meet my standards, period? And you don't have to be like aggressive about it. There are ways of doing it subtly and still getting the information that you need. But that's what you need before you develop any kind of real emotional connection with anybody that you're attracted to. You need to make sure they can meet your standards first. 5 of Cups. And you're going to be disappointed a lot in the beginning, because you're going to realize that most of the people who are super aggressive with approaching people in public and asking for their numbers and stuff are typically the most desperate. Okay? All right, 7 of Wands. Okay. There was a truth that you were resisting for a really long time when it came to you and this person, or you and this connection that you found yourself in. And this is what I was talking about earlier, about this idea of rejecting anything that doesn't meet the delusion, because you want to stay in this kind of soft lover girl energy, this Queen of Cups energy. Now, this is feminine or water sign energy, Scorpio, Cancer, Pisces. You might have some of that in your chart. Maybe even your moon sign could be significant as well. We also have Taurus, and we also have obviously feminine air sign energy, Aquarius, Gemini, Libra, and Hangman with Pisces here. So those signs might be significant. They might not. Judgment is, I believe, Scorpio. So there's something that you were refusing to accept at first. And you know what I mean? Anytime anything gets in the way of you getting able to play this character, which is not really a character, it's honestly the closest thing to your true expression of yourself. But you think of it as this different version of you that only exists when you're in love or falling in love or emotionally connected to somebody. So you like to stay in that place for so long that is putting you in a situation to go deeper and deeper with people who don't deserve that depth from you. And they're basically bleeding you dry by the end of it. Let's clarify this Queen of Cups. And I think you do want to be in a relationship where you do get to love freely and openly. But that's what I'm talking about by having those standards. Have them meet the standards first and then develop the emotional connection. We have the Star, Aquarius energy. Wonderful, with the 5 of Swords, okay? You might feel like you still want to give to this person. You might feel like you still are emotionally connected to this person. You might even believe that they're your twin flame, soulmate, karmic, whatever it is. If you use those labels and titles, I'm not here to confirm or deny. But if you've already applied one of those titles, this is what you think this person is, okay? And now maybe you're starting to feel a little bit skeptical about that, because you're thinking, well, has too much happened? Can I forgive? Can we move on from this? Can we grow from this? Am I giving too much? Am I doing too much? Am I receiving anything in return that's of value to me, right? Because it's not just about the physical, right? Sex. It's not just about them telling you I love you 1,000 times a day and never backing it up with their actions or their behavior. It's not about that, right? Relationships are more than just superficial. Relationships are more than just what you say. And making sure you text somebody good morning and good evening every day. That's silly to me. If you think that somebody's bare minimum is like the perfect shining example of who you want your partner to be, that's the bare minimum. People checking up on you, people making sure that the plans that they made with you, that you still want to come, and they've already planned something. They've actually already planned something. You know, these are bare minimum things, you guys. And I just feel like I'm not sure what this person did. It's not showing me. First, but you just don't trust them, okay? Their trust has been broken. You don't feel like this person can change. You don't feel like this person is capable of meeting you where you are or meeting your emotional needs or standards. That's it. That's period, point blank. And a lot of times we go, but they need us, but they need me, but they love me, and I can't disappoint them, and I don't want to hurt them. But what about you? What about you? If you've already decided that this is not the person, if you've already come to the conclusion that they can't give you what you need, I know it's hard to hurt people. I know it's hard to walk away, because you don't want to be hurt. You don't want to be abandoned, right? But let's remember, this is your life. And the longer you spend it with people who are always in transition, who are always on the journey, but they never actually make it to the destination, you're the one who's going to continue to get hurt. You're the one who's going to continue to be disappointed. You're the one who's going to continue to be put on the back burner. You're the one who's not going to be shown up for. You're the one who's not going to be loved properly. Even when you're pouring into this person, giving to this person, doing everything they're asking of you, you don't have to suffer in order to create a great love story. And part of me does believe too many things have happened, and it is time for you to move on, right? You're exhausted with this situation, and in some ways you feel humiliated by it. How did you let this person so close to you? How did you even get yourself in this relationship or find yourself in this situation where now you feel like you might be stuck with this person? The idea of being with this person long term and staying stuck with this person exactly as they are terrifies you. So why would you even continue this relationship as it stands? If you guys are truly meant to be together, then it will happen in its own time. But you don't have to suffer through this. There's a life out there for you that doesn't involve this person. I think that maybe it's time for you to give yourself the love and care and attention that you tend to give other people. Whatever you've been pouring into this relationship, and now is the time for you to pour it back into yourself, okay? Find a way for you to be the lover girl all the time without needing a masculine to get into that, right? Find a way to love yourself like that. Love yourself the way that you love other people, and I promise you won't be disappointed again, because your standards, you won't be willing to compromise them. Your boundaries, you won't let people continue to violate them over and over again. And your relationships will be way more filled with love and people who are willing to meet you at least halfway. All right, this is what I have for you. I hope that this was helpful or enlightening in some way. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I will see you guys next time.